welcome to our January brew. Oh my gosh, that keeps happening to me. Oh, right when I was just like organizing the books, same thing just happened. I'm taking it as a bit of a sign that I'm on uneven kilter, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I need to ground. Hopefully this session will help me do that. I made myself the last little bit of my caramel macchiato creamer in my coffee today, and then I sprinkled a bit of cinnamon on, cutting out some of the coffee creamers just from all of the like additives in them. And I've tried to make my own, and it's just not the same. Lately I've just been putting plain almond milk, but I do love like rich, sweet, creamy coffee. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do to get that without all of the like, it's also just super expensive. That Starbucks creamer that I get in Canada where I live is $8.99 for that creamer, which, I mean, if you think about it in contrast to how much it is to get one latte or drink anywhere, it's not that bad. But in terms of making at-home coffee, it does start to add up when you're buying one of those every single week versus like a $3.99 carton of almond milk. It's just like, where, how much are you willing to invest in your happiness? That's the question I need to ask myself, because, and your health. The amount of coffee that I drink, it is not healthy to be drinking a ton of that creamer all of the time. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe I'll buy one and just like, it's just like, and then how do you get yourself to stay accountable to only use it like once in a while? Maybe I'll tell myself that I'm only going to use it when we're doing our coffee talks. I kind of like that. I forgot to stir it. Remember back in the day when you'd read a magazine, or there would be like Facebook blog posts that would trend, or there were like the favorites videos? Let's do a January favorites. Okay, I'm going to make the list off the top of my head. Currently watching Desperate Housewives. 2000 shows, I've realized, like, they're very corny. They're very predictable. Actually, there have been some like spins in Desperate Housewives that I did not predict, but I'm only on the first season and it's just such a nice light watch. It's okay if I fall asleep because I can pretty much pick up the storyline. And something that I didn't realize until I was watching it with my friend Maria when she visited over the holidays, I was like, gosh, you know what this reminds me of? The adult version of Pretty Little Liars. And we looked it up. And Pretty Little Liars was themed or inspired by Desperate Housewives. So I feel like I'm watching the like mom housewife version of Pretty Little Liars. Currently, let's do reading. So for the book club, it is Cynicism and Magic, and then Magic Lessons. Both of them are right here. I am adoring Magic Lessons. I put it as a second book for January because I've actually been reading it since before Christmas. I started it back in November, and I've been taking it slow, but I'm almost done the book. And that way I can still host the book club stuff because, life has just been like lifing really hard this winter. But Magic Lessons, anything Alice Hoffman, I'm loving right now. I definitely want to check out more of her books because her writing style and also just the worlds that she creates and the ways that she infuses magic through her stories is my favorite fiction world to now be in. So anything Alice Hoffman, but also I have read about halfway through chapter 1 of Cynicism and Magic, and I am enjoying that. Currently eating. What's like a go-to food for me lately? I feel like I'm in a weird spot where I'm like coming out of the holidays and coming into the new year, but I am back on my plant-based train. One of my favorite meals to make lately is either pad see ew. I make like a vegan version. I just basically don't use oyster sauce and just add a little bit more brown sugar. And it's like broccoli, tofu, cilantro, and rice noodles. So good. I also have been loving making tofu rice noodle pho, anything like that. And noodles. I'm just loving noodles. That's a good answer. That's exactly the answer. Noodles is the vibe for January. Yeah, it's hard to do a favorites for January because I feel like so many things are in a transition point where like I'm moving into trying to drink healthier coffees and moving into doing plant-based again. And so all of the stuff that I was just like eating literally up to like a week and a half ago. No, a week ago. It feels so much further into January than it is, and I'm glad that it isn't. But everything up until like the end of the holidays was very different as opposed to this week. So these are all things that I'm like just starting to love again this week, but that do come back around. I'm really, really loving my card readings lately and journaling lately. That has been my favorite way to decompress at the end of the day, is to journal and do some cards, just spend some time with myself. This winter in general, I'm feeling like a call to be a bit of a hermit. I'm realizing how important it is because of how just the last few weeks, I feel like I haven't had as much control over the things that are pulling my energy, that I'm actively pouring my energy into. Like I would do it without question. Things like my kids, for instance. And I love them. I always want to pour energy into them. But at the same time, you can only do that when you actually have energy left in you to pour. In my reevaluation of what I share online, and factoring in that I've always, at least since I've met Ryan, kept our relationship pretty private and I've tried to keep as much as I want to share like my love of motherhood and my experience of motherhood, but also keep my children's privacy. In respecting the privacy of my partner and of my kids, as much as I would love to be able to create a space of like understanding, create a space of shared experience by talking about, challenges Ryan and I go through, or my own challenges I go through with my kids. I'm just not going to do that because I don't think it's fair to them, especially my kids. The last few weeks have just been like heavier, and I've been really, really needing solo time and really, really needing time to like connect to myself again and fill my cup up again. I pour so much of myself into everyone and everything around me that I have found myself very drained. And that's not a good feeling to have. And it's not beneficial for anyone at the end of the day, because if I'm drained and I'm then pouring from a drained cup, then I'm like cutting my energy off later in life, and I don't think that, when it comes to my kids, I obviously don't want to do that. I want to be around for them as long as nearly possible, but also for myself. Like, I deserve to honor, cherish, and protect my sacred energy. And so that's what I've been doing, creating a space to do that with journaling and cards. Like that's something that's been a favorite of mine. That's a big, top, bright, shiny yes for January, is spending very nice, sacred time to fill up my cup at the end of the night. So that's where I'm at. How are you doing? What are your favorites for January? Watching things like Desperate Housewives and my noodle soups and my creating my bathroom sanctuary and just doing all of this self-care stuff at night, journaling, cards, you name it. That has all been like sacred things for me lately, especially the cards. I don't know what it is, but like all of these intuitive practices are really coming on strong for me this winter, and I'm staying open to them. I'm saying yes to them because they feel like a hard yes for me, and they feel very sacred. It feels like a very powerful or empowering place to connect to my intuition. That's all I have to say. I was going to do a social scroll before I went on that tangent. I love this. It says, if you focus on building your garden, the butterflies will come. And even if they don't, you still have your beautiful garden. This is such a beautiful mindset, because the idea is when you focus on building a beautiful garden, planting a beautiful garden, and if you think of the garden metaphor as like your life and butterflies as blessings, then if you create or build is actually a really great word, but I think create and build could be used interchangeably. They just have a little bit of different energy, because building to me, I feel like takes a little bit more grit, a little bit more discipline, a little bit more forethought. Creation feels like a bit more flow, a bit more openness, a bit more taking what life throws at you and then molding it into something. So either way, whatever way you decide to live your life, live your January, build your garden, create your garden, even if the butterflies don't come, you'll have a beautiful life anyway. And I love that. The butterflies are going to come. You can't be open to that kind of energy. You can't be open to that kind of joy and not attract butterflies, Resolutions for an emotionally healthy 2025. This is perfect. And this is from The Holistic Psychologist, one of my favorite accounts to follow. Definitely a lot of food for thought posted. I won't over-explain. If I'm misunderstood, that's okay. Being misunderstood is a natural part of life, not a personal rejection. It's a natural part of life for people to misunderstand one another because we don't realize a lot of the time life is asking so much of us that we don't have the time to strip away our filters. So we don't realize that a lot of the time we're looking at our life and other people through filters, and those filters are our own biases created by our own experiences. And so when someone says something, we don't actually hear their intention in what they're saying. We hear their words. We project intention into other people by assuming they mean what we've come to know from those things. Not saying that it's okay, but even if people are like nasty about it, if they're nasty about like misunderstanding you, it's just because they have filters on that they don't realize. I will never match anyone else's energy. I'll practice behaving in ways that I'm proud of, even when others are lower versions of themselves. This is so powerful. Practicing behaving in ways that I'm proud of, even when others, and this is exactly it, like when others are being nasty, or when someone is struggling with being like a lower version of themselves, you don't match their energy. You still like, you don't stand tall in a way that's like you're looking down on people, but you stand tall, heart open. I will stop gaslighting myself. I don't need to focus on the positive or tell myself other people have it worse. I'll acknowledge it's painful and that my feelings are valid. Emotions fade when I stop trying to change them. Ooh, that's powerful. I need to work on this. I have no wisdom to share. I am in this life lesson of not needing to always focus on the positive and tell myself that other people have it worse. I love the idea that emotions fade when I stop trying to change them. What you resist persists. When you repress, suppress, move aside things you don't want to feel because they're ugly feelings, they don't go away and they don't change. The only way to like move them through to express them is when you stop trying to change them and you just feel them fully for what they are. I will stop making choices for my parents' approval. My life is for me, and this will free me from resenting them. I think that you could put parent as anyone. I will stop making choices for anyone's approval. My life is for me, and this will free me from resenting anyone. I work on my emotional reactivity. I'll pause before I habitually react. I'll notice how confident this makes me, taking a deep breath when I'm really stimulated. The power of now, Eckhart Tolle, of like creating space, letting sound move through my atoms instead of like catching me. You know, stimulation is super interesting, especially if you're neurodivergent, because I find it very overpowering, period. It overpowers like my consciousness and my ability to stay present. And sometimes I definitely do habitually react, especially when I'm super overstimulated. But that's something I'm working on. When someone is rude to me, I realize they're fighting an inner battle. I don't fight battles that aren't my own. I choose peace. This is going to become an upward pile now. If they're fighting an inner battle, remind yourself that I don't fight battles that aren't my own. You consider yourself to be an empathetic person or a sensitive person or a caring person, please, loud and clear, a not healthy trait. Oh, I want to help that person with that battle. And not only is that really, it's not intentionally condescending, but it can come across as like you're making somebody like a hopeless victim. But also it is taking on responsibility and taking it away from somebody else. And that makes me think of the power to be disliked. Like, it's not your duty to fight someone else's battle, even if you sense the battle. Someone can come to you and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this. And like, you can say or give wisdom or share or just hold space for them even and help them, like just holding space for somebody. I know when people hold space for me, a lot of the times I actually already know the answer. I know what I need to do. I just need to feel not alone in it. And that's like truly, I think the best thing you can do to someone fighting a battle is just let them know they're not alone, but you don't pick up the sword and fight the battle for them. Choose peace. And I will stop trying to fix other people when I neglect myself in the process. Non-intervention is a form of love. Damn. I will express gratitude for the people in my life that make me feel seen and safe on a regular basis. I'll pour emotionally energy into these people just as they've done for me. Oh, I love that. Yeah, The Holistic Psychologist is a great follow if you are on Instagram. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's January Brew. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I really enjoy this space, and I really appreciate you bringing your time and your energy into it. And I would love to hear any thoughts if you're willing to share them back at me with your, I was about to take that too far, with your fingers and tell me what bounced off of you from today's chat. And without further ado, I will chat with all of you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.